Castillo goes to extremes to catch a murderous drug dealer on today's Miami Vice. Borrasca was directed by Vern Gillum and was written by acclaimed detective novelist Robert Crace, credited here as Elvis Cole, which is the name of the PI protagonist of many of his novels. It's also written by someone named Vladislavo Stepankutsa, who doesn't seem to really exist. Unconfirmed internet chatter suggests that Vladislavo Stepankutsa is the alias of writer Steve Volpa. It opens with a big drug deal taking place to the ominous chords of The Dogs of War by Pink Floyd, in which the buyer, a pompous fat cat in a limo, blatantly tries to rip off the seller. The sellers, who include a man named Martillo Borrasca, played by Juan Fernandez, riddle the limousine with bullets, murdering the buyer and his girlfriend, then drop a dead chicken on his body. Crockett is otherwise occupied this episode, so Castillo asks Tubbs and Switek to track down the sellers. Tubbs's beard is back, I'm sorry to say. But wait, in the very next scene, Tubbs's beard is gone again. In a bit of dialogue that was clearly added in post-production to cover this continuity glitch, Switek tells Tubbs that he looks much better without the beard. In Crockett's absence, by the way, Switek has stepped all the way up and has donned a fancy suit and has slicked back his hair to join Tubbs as a shady drug dealer. And I gotta say, it is a treat to see this hyper-competent and serious version of Switek. Switek and Tubbs go to a glitzy nightclub and chat with an associate of the slain buyer, who gives them Borrasca's name. At headquarters, Castillo briefs the detectives on Borrasca, who is a far-right revolutionary devoted to fighting communism. A Colombian ship carrying a great deal of cocaine was recently stolen, and the DEA suspects Borrasca was behind the theft. For help finding the ship, Castillo turns to an old friend, a former detective named Arturo, who is played by Carlos Cestero, who we last saw in Season 3's Kill Shot. Arturo, who now works as a carpenter with a teenaged apprentice, agrees to come out of retirement to help Castillo. Arturo goes to a dive bar and wheedles information about the ship's location out of one of Borrasca's henchmen. He sneaks onto the ship at night and spots Borrasca negotiating a drug buy with a beautiful woman named Lucia, played by Mexican actress Gabriela Roel. Arturo is spotted, but he dives off the boat and swims to safety. However, one of the men from the dive bar identifies him, and Borrasca's goons break into Arturo's workshop and murder him and his young apprentice with machetes. Switek and Tubbs head to Arturo's workshop to see what he learned about the ship. First, however, Switek makes a furtive call from a payphone to someone who is clearly a bookie. Nothing more will be made of this in this episode, but the seeds to Switek's season-long fall from grace are planted in this scene. Tubbs and Switek discover the hacked-apart corpses. At the crime scene, Castillo finds Lucia's name among Arturo's notes. An undercover Switek and Tubbs visit an artsy club owned by Lucia, in which dancers in body paint writhe around to Sinead O'Connor's I Want Your Hands on Me. When they see Lucia chatting with Borrasca, Tubbs introduces himself to her, claiming he's very, very rich and very, very interested in purchasing a boat full of cocaine, because sometimes the direct approach is the best. Lucia is unimpressed, but after a couple of Borrasca's goons attack Tubbs and Switek, Tubbs whips out a switchblade and flashes some crazy eyes and intimidates them into setting up a meeting with a middleman. We rarely get to see Tubbs cut loose while undercover, and after a long stretch of Crockett-centric episodes, it's really great seeing Philip Michael Thomas and Michael Talbot get a chance to shine. Immediately thereafter, Tubbs and Switek are approached by a big jerk in a nice suit named Reese, played by Brion James, who was Leon in Blade Runner. We've now had 3 Blade Runner stars, Brion James, James Hong, and Joe Turkel, pop up on Miami Vice alongside their Blade Runner co-star Edward James Olmos. Reese asks Switek and Tubbs to pass along a message to Castillo to stay far, far away from Borrasca. Back at headquarters, Castillo identifies Reese as an intelligence operative who sometimes works for the CIA and is sometimes freelance. He has no intention of heeding Reese's warnings, so Switek and Tubbs head to the beach to meet with Borrasca's middleman. At the beach, Switek and Tubbs find the middleman dead, shot in the heart by Reese. They're approached by Lucia, who invites them to meet with Borrasca. Borrasca orders his men to kill them because he investigated them, or at least their undercover personas, and discovered that they're too small time to have the money necessary to buy the boat full of cocaine. Thinking very quickly, Tubbs yells out that they're the middlemen for a powerful Cuban buyer, but they didn't want to mention him at first because they know how Borrasca hates communists. Borrasca finds this plausible and lets them go. Castillo, posing as the Cuban buyer, shows up with Tubbs to meet with Borrasca and Lucia, and they agree to meet on the boat to make the deal. Reese pops by Castillo's home at night to grab food out of his bento box and to warn him to stay away from Borrasca or his detectives will get hurt. Reese is willing to give Castillo the cocaine to get it off the street, but Borrasca is too valuable to Reese's shadowy employers to arrest. Castillo refuses. Tubbs boards the boat to buy the cocaine from Borrasca, while all the other detectives lie in wait, ready to make the bust. The bust goes down as planned, and then Reese arrives in a helicopter, sprays the boat with bullets, and demands that Vice release Borrasca to him. Borrasca climbs up into the helicopter, but he's shot and killed by a sniper's bullet. Later, Tubbs visits Castillo at his home to let him know they've had no progress identifying the sniper, and Castillo obliquely lets Tubbs know that he killed Borrasca himself because his code of honor couldn't permit him to go free. Yeah, I don't know about that ending. You can look at it as Castillo shooting and killing a suspect in multiple homicides who is fleeing a legal arrest, but the subterfuge involved with his actions definitely makes it seem like an assassination, and whatever Castillo's dark past and his connections to the intelligence community, he's not an assassin. In fact, over the past 4 seasons, Castillo's dominant character trait has been his unflinching devotion to law and order. Even in Bushido, he very deliberately gave up his police badge before he started chopping KGB agents with a samurai sword. So I don't buy that he would kill Borrasca in a sneaky manner and then not be upfront about his actions. It seems like a misunderstanding of the character, and that might be an unfortunate side effect of Miami Vice bringing in so many new writers and producers for this final season. That aside, though, this is a solid episode. It's nothing remarkable, but the script has some nice touches, like Tubbs's fast work in coming up with a good story to save his and Switek's lives. Miami Vice tends to do a good job with episodes like this one that hinge upon deep corruption in the intelligence community. It plays nicely with Miami Vice's themes of how the Vice cops are constantly going up against shadowy, powerful forces that they have no possibility of defeating. I'd rate it somewhere between 3 and 4 flamingos, but I'm going to knock it down to 3 because of the problems with Castillo's characterization right at the end. Next time, it's an epic baby boomer versus Gen X showdown when Crockett is charged with protecting a rambunctious young witness. In the meantime, please subscribe to my channel to be among the first to see new episodes, and enjoy your week.